Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Alabama is failing its mothers. Also, healthcare is set to explode. And there are liars, big-time liars, and then polls.
Pinocchio had one problem. When he told a lie, his nose grew longer. And he liked to make his nose grow.
Pinocchio ate the moon for breakfast.
Oh, a lie. The nose grows.
You mean they actually shade the truth? Say it ain't so, Joe. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, columnist at APR and investigative reporter Royale.
Nice. I appreciate it. I like that. I like the
Royale.
of
course you do.
The added bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the bonus points.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
Hey,
Yeah, the
you know, I
bonus.
want to ask our viewers to help us out. You know, we've gone to a much more expanded digital platform. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. If you're on those platforms, please go to our page, like our show, and subscribe. That will help us to reach more people. Also, please let your friends, family, fellow Politico interest groups that we are now exclusively on YouTube and those platforms in most of the state, only on television in the capital city, Montgomery. So please help us out and do that. We depend on you, and we hope you depend on us, and that would help us.
And
greatly.
don't forget to click the notification buttons, because we're doing more than just the show.
Yeah.
Now we're doing a lot more digital content that you might want to be notified when it goes up. So don't forget.
And also, we will also be adding segments that are only on digital. So anyway, that help us out with that if you would, please.
We're very excited about it.
Yeah, the numbers are great. This week, a Republican poll was released that showed a potential matchup between Doug Jones and Tommy Tuberville, even though Doug Jones has not even announced any intentions to run. But that poll, Susan, had a misleading story to it, and we'll get into that pretty quickly. But major news outlets around the state reported that poll as if it were gospel. And one of the things that, I mean, you could tell by the first sentence in there that there was something wrong, because they claimed that Tuberville was going to trounce Jones, and that Jones's race was, as they said, a futile mission.
Well, you have to understand how polling works. You know, what we're talking about is that he basically had a 37% approval rating, but they managed to get it to 56.
Now, go back and explain. Who had that?
I'm sorry, Tuberville. Tuberville had about a 37% approval rating in just what's called the raw data of it. Then by the time you got to the weighted number, it ended up being 56. Let me explain how that works. All right, every polling house has a set of numbers that they use to get to their weighted number. And that they may base it on previous elections, how the voters performed, whatever. What they do is they take the numbers, say you've got the 65 and older group. They may weight what's called weighting the number more heavily there than they do in a younger group. So what they'll do is they'll take the raw number, say it's 500 people that voted favorably in this poll. They'll multiply that times a factor of 2, because it's stronger possibility that voter is going to actually show up. So now you've got a multiple out of, now we've got 1,000 likes here. Let's call it. Whereas if you had 300 younger voters who are not as reliable as your older crowd, they might put them at a 0.5%. So now they've gone from 300 voters to 150. So that's kind of how a weighted poll works. Now, like I said, they're usually based on previous elections, but understand that each polling house has their own way of doing it. And we're also, when you get into a client paid for poll versus an independent poll, those numbers can shift dramatically. So people need to understand when you're looking at these numbers, when you're looking at that 56%, there's some massaging of numbers that goes on there. I won't call it manipulating because it's not. Every polling house does it. But do understand that there are underlying numbers that you need to go back under the crosstabs and look at these polls completely before you base a vote on an actual poll.
Josh, when you look at the raw numbers, Tuberville is in trouble. You've got a Republican candidate, the only Republican candidate running in a ruby red state, and he cannot break 50% in a Republican poll.
Well, yeah, I mean, he can't break 40% in the Republican poll, I'm not. There was no crosstabs. We didn't see kind of what the questions were. We don't know how anything was phrased out of the poll, and so and you can see from the framing of the poll with the note that was sent out with it, the little brief that was packaged in. Where they called it, if Jones decides to go on a futile mission, he will, he will encounter another blowout. That seems, you don't normally get that kind of language in an independent, unbiased poll. Okay, right, you just don't get that. I mean, and so, but then even more so than that, you look down at some of the other numbers that were included in that poll, and you see that. Some 60 some odd percent of people, or 60+% of people, told them that they were unaffected by the shutdown, the government shutdown. Yeah. And then the next line of that, it says, but those who were affected by it were by and large self-identified as Democrats. And so that tells you that you're looking at somewhere 60-30 or so, 65-35 Democrats to Republicans that were polled in this thing. And so, look, it's fine. These polls happen all the time. People pay for these polls. Sure. People put them out. People make a lot of money off of doing these things. And the reason they make a lot of money at doing these things is because people who operate news organizations now don't give a damn about looking into anything other than just the baseline things. And that's exactly what happened at AL.com and some other places where they posted this thing up and made it seem as though it was a gospel poll where it was a legitimate polling that had been done. And they didn't have any information. Listen, the polling could be great, okay? But you have no information to verify it, and anything that you can verify tells you that it should not be treated as an independent, unbiased poll. And so that is the problem that we have right now. Is we just, and honestly, there's some people who should know better who ran with that, who's been doing this a long time. And just posted that up with a headline talking about this, this paints the picture of the race. Come on, man.
I know, it's crazy. I did an analysis for APR, and it is on our homepage today. No, I mean this week, actually. If you want to look at it, it's a pretty thorough analysis of what we do know about the poll. But anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, a lot of things happen when we go on break. You know, we have a commercial break and all that. But the one thing you don't generally expect to happen just happened. And I got a call from those very, very close to former U.S. Senator Doug Jones. And we can now report with certainty that Doug Jones will file his paperwork with the Secretary of State this coming week to run for governor of Alabama. Josh, that is breaking news.
Nice. A little breaking news on a Sunday. That's nice for everybody. Listen, I think that is welcomed for a lot of folks. I think there are a lot of people who are looking for a viable candidate out there. I think it's great news for the Democratic ticket right now. And I think that is really the most important thing that I can say. This doesn't mean that, Doug's not going to walk in here and automatically be tied statistically with Tommy Tuberville. Tommy Tuberville still has a great edge in this race. Okay? Let's don't let anybody get fooled about anything. Okay. And Doug still has, I guess, a primary. Although I think he's now the overwhelming favorite to be the Democratic nominee, and we'll see what everybody else in the race does. But I just think that what it does now is it creates a national buzz. It creates a statewide buzz. It begins to highlight for people, and it puts in front of them Democratic ideas for governance. Okay. And the Democratic ideas are the ones that people have liked the most over the last few years. And that is bar none. It's undeniable, especially economic policies among Democrats. It has been undeniable. You look at what has been passed here and what people have been most upset about. It has been passing Democratic ideas like the overtime tax repeal and other pro-worker rights legislation and things that put money in the pockets of people, average Alabamians out there. And then, I don't know what happened there, we got more news. And so it puts those ideas in front of people, and it helps everybody up and down the ticket. All the Democrats who are going to be there, it helps them get their messaging out. It helps them raise money. It helps everybody have a better shot. And no matter what you feel about Democrats, okay, having a two-party system in this state, a viable second party, is vital. Is absolutely vital.
It's good for democracy, and it's good for the state. But look, the way I see it, Doug Jones has got a tough row to hoe, as my granny used to say. But there is a pathway. There is a lane where he can actually win this. Now, we know that he lost to Tuberville back in 2020. But Tuberville did not have a track record then. He was just a famous coach from Auburn. Also, everything that is known about Tuberville has not been released yet. And none of this was known when he ran in 2020. So this is going to be a spirited campaign. And one thing, Tommy Tuberville is going to have to get up off his behind and actually run for office now, because finally we got a guy, and look, it's not my guy or your guy. We got a guy in Alabama who's actually going to run for governor. He's going to get out there and work his tail off to make sure voters hear what he's got. Now, We need our media to not, play favorites. We need them to tell it like it is, but don't do this BS like with this poll. Cover the news. But Susan, your take.
Well, here's the one thing. The stark difference between the two of them is Doug Jones has an extensive record of what he's stood for, what he's done, what he's accomplished for Alabama. Tommy Tuberville doesn't have that.
Right.
He has passed nothing since he's been in the Senate. He's supported nothing but chaos since he's been there. And that's just the truth. I'm not weighing one side or other. Most of the people, if I say Doug Jones and we start talking about the church bombing and those, they know who he is. They know who he was when he was in the Senate. And even somebody yesterday said, the only thing I know about Tuberville is he was coach.
Right.
And so there's a stark difference there. And what people know. And with Tuberville not getting out and trying to let people know who he is, that's going to put him at a bit of a disadvantage.
Well, and I think what happens is if Jones is campaign smart, Josh, they will work to define who Tuberville actually is. I mean,
yes.
Because his coalition, how he won the Senate against Roy Moore, we all know, black voters, especially black women, independents, and I think you're going to get disaffected Republicans and moderates who are going to like the message, because Tuberville doesn't have a message right now. So I think he's got two things he's got to do: define who Tuberville is and define who he is, and not let other people define it.
Yeah, I think, you talked about the pathway. I think that you're absolutely right about what Doug needs to do about defining who Tuberville is. And you need to force Tuberville to actually do some work here. And Alabama voters need to force Tommy Tuberville to do some work here as well. And because, it's what he's relying on currently is the little R out beside his name on the ballot to be enough to push him over the edge. I think right now the pathway for Doug is that you have a person who has tied himself 100% to the president because he has no policies of his own. And right now that president is growing increasingly unpopular. He is very unpopular across the country, and he is growing increasingly unpopular in this state as well. Those policies have been very unpopular with farmers. If I was Doug Jones, I'd show anytime more than 3 farmers got together at a time, I'd be there talking to them and telling them how I could help them. Seriously, why a farmer ever votes for another Republican until they change what they've been doing, I have no idea why they would do it. Just look at the bottom line and look at your neighbor. If you're not losing your house, I guarantee you your neighbor is. And so those types of, that's the pathway for him right now, is that we're in a terrible economic shape. And those Republican ideas and this president is not working out. And Tommy Tuberville has offered you nothing to fix any of this. He has done nothing to describe what he's going to do to make your life better or to fix any of the problems that have been created by the Republicans and this president. So you got to force that.
You heard it first here on the Voice of Alabama Politics. Doug Jones is running for governor of Alabama. Let the horses run, baby. We'll be right back.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. I'm still getting over the last segment. But Josh, recently you had Terry Sewell on your podcast, which is the number one, I know it's the number one political podcast in Alabama. Give it a gratuitous plug, please.
No, yes, it's the Alabama Politics This Week podcast. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. Just look us up. We should be there. Also on YouTube, you can watch us talk if you'd like to watch us talk. We're very photogenic.
It's truly. I was on your show. I loved doing it. It was great. Had a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But you had Terry Sewell on recently, and she is sounding the alarm that is scaring a lot of people in the healthcare industry, and a lot of people who rely on the ACA for their health insurance. This is going to explode, and the price of premiums is going to go through the roof because of this one big, beautiful bill.
Right. Okay. So listen, Terry Sewell had she sounded the alarm, and she had an example of a gentleman who came up to her and showed her a piece of paper from his insurance company that showed a massive price increase going from, I want to say $300 a month to $1,500 a month. That was terrible. But so, I knew we were going to do this today. And so I went to the ACA myself and looked up what it would cost for both me and my family of 3 to receive insurance through there. Now, I don't make enough, I make too much to get subsidies off of this. Okay. So I don't qualify for any subsidies. So if my family of 3 went to the marketplace today and shopped for insurance, it would cost us for the bronze plan, this is a lower tier plan with a deductible of nearly $15,000 per year. It would cost us $1,380 a month. That's how much it would cost us for us. Me alone, it would cost me $585 a month for the catastrophic insurance plan that is offered on the ACA. That's people can't afford that. That's a house payment. That's rent. That's car. You simply are forcing people now to choose between eating, clothing their children, and health care. Okay? Because you can't do all 3 of them on an average person's salary. There are subsidies that help out with the poorest among us. But those subsidies, they don't. I've tried to go back and play with the amounts to see where the subsidies started to kick in. And I got down to $70,000 a year in here before anything started to happen, before you got even a little bit off of there. $70,000 a year for anybody that's getting it for more than just themselves. That's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, and you're being eaten alive by this and the grocery prices and everything else. Something has got to give here, and we've got to do something about this system.
And especially when Josh was talking about that, I thought about how our lawmakers here in Alabama get about $60,000 a year for their part-time job. And on top of whatever else they do, some of them that ain't all they do. But then you look at what Tommy Tuberville, Katie Brett, all our congressional members make in money. They don't need the subsidies, right? They don't need it. It's the working folks. It's the people. It's what we would call the working class. Folks that have to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes and work till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or take 2 jobs or 3 jobs.
Right.
And it's not fair, because the money from that bill, and I don't care how they defend it, is giving tax breaks to the wealthiest among us.
We're talking about a 700% increase, according to Sewell. 700% increase in healthcare costs. Now, let's don't even add SNAP into that and what we're going through with SNAP right now. These are just 2 very large examples of all of the stuff this beautiful bill is going to put on working people, the most needy among us, the most in need of our help. Where's the Christian value in that? I don't understand it. I don't find that anywhere in the Bible, that you're not supposed to take care of your neighbor.
Well, what I don't understand from a Republican standpoint is that they're winning elections now with the working class people.
Yeah.
And they're going to punish them. That I do not understand that one at all.
Even if we're not, even if, just let's throw out the religious aspect of it. Okay, let's just talk about the economics of it. When you're doing this and you're tossing these people off of their healthcare plans, those people are still going to get sick. Okay, they're still going to require care. They're still going to go to an emergency room and require care, and they're not going to be able to pay for it. And so one of two things are going to happen: either we're all going to cover it through higher costs through the hospital, through our hospital costs and doctor care costs and insurance costs. Or all of these people are going to try to pay those bills, and they're going to lose everything they've got. And That's so right. Now we're in a worse situation.
I need to pivot here because I think this fits hand in glove. A new study by the March of Dimes report cards places Alabama among the worst states in America for maternal and infant health. A sobering reminder that we are failing our women and our mothers and children. Almost 50% of the children born in Alabama are born under Medicaid. And Susan, these numbers are appalling, and we should be ashamed because we can do better.
We're talking about per year 442 Alabama babies die before they're a year old. That's appalling. And it has to do with the lack of prenatal care. It has to do with the lack of postpartum care. It has to do with the lack of care and the availability of insurance, like we've been talking about. I mean, and the cuts in Medicaid. And I mean, what are these mothers to do? We're third in infant mortality, ninth in maternal mortality, and fourth in preterm births nationwide.
Yeah.
Get busy.
And there are countries like South Korea, Josh, that have better health outcome for their kids and mothers. We got about 30 seconds, but wrap it up, brother.
Look, man, everybody's got better. Almost everybody in the industrialized world has got better health outcomes for everybody. Well, I mean, we've just talked about this system. The system sucks for everybody, okay? It does. Unless you are ultra wealthy and the money is no object for you, then it sucks for everybody. The health outcomes are some of the worst in the industrialized world. We pay more than anybody else, and we get the worst care. Bernie Sanders has been preaching this thing for decades now, and he's 100% right. The statistics back it up. We all just came back from Europe, where we got a good look, some of us firsthand, at their healthcare system over there. And it's socialized medicine, and it works. It works.
And Republicans wanted to do it years ago. Then they backed away from it. But let's just say this. Thank you for watching us. Please go to social media and click like and subscribe. That'll help us out quite a bit. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.